Self-discipline is not a technique you add to your life the way a man adds a tool to his belt. It is not a personality trait reserved for a few iron-willed souls who were born different from the rest of us. It is the visible evidence of what rules the heart. Every man is disciplined. Every woman is disciplined. The only question is what disciplines you. Your appetites discipline you. Your fears discipline you. Your love of comfort disciplines you. Your craving for approval disciplines you. No one wakes up and lives randomly. You wake up and you obey something. You submit to something. You bow to something. And that thing shapes your days, governs your choices, and determines the direction of your life. We live in a generation that despises restraint. We have confused freedom with the absence of boundaries. We have been taught that any limitation is an attack on our identity. That discipline is oppression, that saying no to ourselves is some form of self-hatred. And yet, we wonder why our lives are shallow, why our words are empty, why our convictions collapse the moment pressure is applied. A man without discipline is not free. He is enslaved. He is dragged around by his impulses like a corpse tied to a chariot. He calls it living, but it is nothing more than slow decay with a pulse. Self-discipline begins when a man tells the truth about himself. Not the flattering lies he rehearses in his mind, not the excuses he offers when he fails, not the comparisons he makes to feel better about his mediocrity. Truth. You are not as strong as you think you are. You are not as wise as you imagine. Left to yourself, you will choose what is easy over what is right, what is comfortable over what is necessary, what feels good now over what is good in the end. This is not pessimism. This is honesty. And honesty is the soil in which discipline grows. The disciplined life is not built in moments of inspiration. Inspiration is cheap. You can buy it by the hour in the form of videos, quotes, speeches, and music. Discipline is built in obscurity, in repetition, in doing the same hard thing again and again when no one is watching and nothing in you feels like doing it. It is forged in the quiet hours when your emotions are screaming one direction and your convictions are calling you in another. It is there that a man is revealed, not on the stage, not in the crowd, not when applause is possible, but alone with a choice and no excuse that will hold up under the weight of truth. You must understand something that most people refuse to accept. Your life will not accidentally become disciplined. No one drifts towards self-control. No one wakes up one day and discovers that years of laziness have mysteriously produced strength. Drift always goes in one direction, downward, toward indulgence, toward softness, toward compromise. If you are not actively resisting that drift, you are already being carried by it. And the farther you go, the harder it is to turn back. Self-discipline is the ability to act according to principle rather than impulse. It is the ability to say, this is what must be done, and to do it regardless of how you feel. Your feelings are real, but they are not reliable. They change with the weather, with sleep, with hunger, with mood. If you build your life on feelings, you build on sand. Discipline builds on truth. Truth does not move. Truth does not negotiate. Truth does not apologize for demanding obedience. Look at the man who cannot govern his speech. He says whatever comes to mind and then wonders why his relationships are in ruins. Look at the man who cannot govern his body. He eats, drinks, and indulges without restraint, and then curses his genetics when the consequences arrive. Look at the man who cannot govern his time. He wastes hours and days and years, and then blames the world for his lack of progress. These are not complex mysteries. They are the predictable results of undisciplined lives. You will never rise above the level of your disciplines. Your private disciplines determine your public strength. What you do consistently in secret will eventually be shouted from the rooftops by the results. A man who is disciplined in small things is preparing himself for great responsibility, whether he realizes it or not. A man who is careless in small things is disqualifying himself long before anyone else notices. Self-discipline is costly. It will demand that you deny yourself things that are not inherently evil, but are unnecessary, distracting, or destructive to your purpose. It will demand that you get up when you want to stay in bed, that you speak when you want to remain silent, that you remain silent when you want to speak. It will demand that you endure boredom, discomfort, and loneliness. And this is where most people walk away. They want the fruit of discipline without the pain of discipline. They want strength without strain, character without conflict, victory without sacrifice. Such things do not exist. Do not deceive yourself. The undisciplined life is not easier in the end. It only feels easier in the moment. In the end, it is filled with regret, shame, and a gnawing awareness that you squandered what you were given. Discipline is hard now, and life is easier later. Indulgence is easy now, and life is hard later. You will pay a price either way. The only question is when and for what. A disciplined person understands the value of time. He knows that every hour spent is an hour gone forever. He does not live as though tomorrow is guaranteed, because he knows it is not. He does not waste his days in endless distraction, numbing himself with entertainment to avoid the discomfort of purpose. He plans. He prioritizes. He guards his time like a treasure because he knows that time is the raw material from which a life is built. Self-discipline also requires humility. Pride says, I don't need structure. I don't need accountability. I can handle this on my own. Humility says, I am weak in certain areas, and I must build safeguards. The disciplined person does not trust himself blindly. He knows his tendencies. He knows his vulnerabilities. And he orders his life in such a way that his weaknesses do not rule him. You cannot talk your way into a disciplined life. You cannot think your way into it. You must act your way into it. Small actions, repeated daily, often unimpressive, often unseen, often unrewarded in the moment. But over time, they carve channels in your soul. They shape your instincts. They train you to obey what is right even when it is hard. Many people are waiting for a dramatic turning point, a crisis, a moment of overwhelming clarity that will suddenly make discipline easy. That moment rarely comes. And when it does, it is usually preceded by years of neglect. Discipline is not born in crisis. It is revealed there. Crisis does not create character. It exposes it. If you are undisciplined in times of peace, You will be undisciplined in times of pressure. Do not make the mistake of thinking that self-discipline is about perfection. It is not about never failing. It is about refusing to make peace with failure. It is about getting up again and again, not with excuses, but with resolve. It is about learning from your falls and adjusting your course. The disciplined person is not the one who never stumbles, but the one who refuses to stay down. Your mind must be disciplined. What you allow yourself to dwell on will shape your desires, and your desires will shape your actions. A mind saturated with trivialities will produce a trivial life. A mind constantly fed on outrage, lust, envy, and fear will become warped and unstable. You must choose what you consume, because what you consume will eventually consume you. Your words must be disciplined. Words are not harmless. They reveal the heart and shape the atmosphere around you. A person who speaks without restraint spreads chaos wherever he goes. A disciplined tongue brings clarity, peace, and trust. Learn to speak less, but with greater weight. Learn to listen more not as a tactic, but as a posture of strength. Your body must be disciplined. You are not a machine, but you are not a ghost either. Neglect your body and your mind will suffer. Abuse your body and your resolve will weaken. Discipline in rest, in movement, in nourishment is not vanity, it is stewardship. You cannot pursue a demanding life with a neglected vessel. Self-discipline will separate you from the crowd. You will be misunderstood. You will be called extreme, rigid, obsessive. People will mock what they secretly admire but refuse to pursue. Do not be surprised when those who indulge themselves resent your restraint. Your discipline will confront their excuses without saying a word. Stand firm. You are not called to be like everyone else. You are called to be faithful. Understand this clearly. Discipline does not make you superior to others. It makes you responsible. It places weight on your shoulders. It demands consistency. It leaves you with fewer excuses and nowhere to hide. That is why so few pursue it seriously. It removes the comfort of blaming circumstances and forces you to confront yourself. There is a strange comfort in chaos. Chaos allows you to explain away failure as inevitable. Discipline removes that illusion. It exposes what you could become if you were willing to pay the price. And that realization can be terrifying, because once you see it, you can no longer claim ignorance. You know that your life could be different. And that knowledge demands a response. Do not underestimate the power of small, disciplined choices. The decision to wake up when the alarm rings. The decision to finish what you start. The decision to say no to what weakens you. These choices may seem insignificant in isolation, but compounded over years, they determine the trajectory of your life. You are becoming something every day, whether you are intentional about it or not. Self-discipline is not about controlling others or appearing impressive. It is about ordering your own life so that it aligns with what is true and good. It is about living with integrity when no one is watching. It is about being the same person in private that you present in public. That kind of life has weight. It has substance. It has endurance. You cannot borrow discipline from someone else. You cannot live off the convictions of another. You must build it into your own life through your own choices, through your own obedience to what you know is right. No one else can do that work for you. They can inspire you. They can challenge you. But the daily decisions are yours alone. If you wait until you feel ready, you will wait forever. Readiness is a myth. Discipline begins when you act despite not feeling ready. It begins when you stop negotiating with your impulses and start obeying your convictions. It begins when you decide that the direction of your life is too important to be left to your moods. You will fail at times. Expect it, but do not romanticize it. Do not excuse it. Learn from it. Adjust and continue. The greatest enemy of discipline is not failure, but resignation. The moment you decide that change is impossible, you have surrendered. As long as you are willing to get up and obey again, discipline is still within reach. The disciplined life is not flashy. It will not always be celebrated, but it is solid. It endures. It produces fruit that lasts. And in the end, when the noise fades and the crowds move on, it is the disciplined who remain standing, having built their lives on something stronger than impulse and appetite and convenience. Self-discipline reveals what truly rules your heart, because no one lives without allegiance. Every human being is governed by something deeper than routine and habit. Beneath every repeated action is a devotion. Beneath every pattern a loyalty. Beneath every decision a throne. You do not wake up each day as a neutral being weighing options with pure objectivity. You wake up already inclined, already shaped, already pulled by desires that have been cultivated over time. What you consistently obey exposes what you value most. What you refuse to deny yourself shows what you worship. Self-discipline does not create this reality, it uncovers it. A man may claim that truth rules his heart, but if comfort dictates his choices, comfort is his master. A woman may insist that purpose drives her life, but if fear controls her obedience, fear sits on the throne. Words are cheap, intentions are easy, declarations cost nothing. Discipline, however, is costly, and that cost exposes allegiance. When obedience requires sacrifice, excuses evaporate, and the true ruler of the heart stands exposed. Every time you face resistance, the hierarchy of your loves is revealed. When doing what is right becomes inconvenient, when obedience brings discomfort, when faithfulness requires endurance, something inside you must be denied. And whatever you refuse to deny has already claimed authority. You can dress it up with respectable language, but the evidence is unmistakable. What you obey when obedience is painful is what truly governs you. The heart is not ruled by reason alone. It is ruled by desire. Discipline confronts desire and demands that it submit to something higher. This is why discipline is so fiercely resisted. It threatens the sovereignty of the self. It challenges the illusion that you can have every appetite satisfied without consequence. It exposes the lie that you can serve multiple masters without conflict. When discipline enters the room, something must step down from the throne. Many people imagine that a lack of discipline is merely a weakness, a flaw in temperament, a minor inconvenience. In reality, it is a declaration of loyalty. To indulge the flesh consistently is to announce that immediate gratification matters more than long-term faithfulness. To avoid discomfort habitually is to proclaim that ease is more valuable than growth. To neglect responsibility repeatedly is to confess that self-preservation outweighs stewardship. These are not accidents. They are choices repeated until they become confessions. Self-discipline strips away the false narratives we tell ourselves. We say we want transformation, but we refuse the process that produces it. We say we want strength, but we avoid resistance. We say we want depth, but we flee silence. Discipline stands as a mirror and forces us to confront the contradiction between our claims and our conduct. And most people do not like what they see. The heart gravitates naturally toward what feels good, what feels safe, what feels affirming. Discipline demands that the heart be retrained, not indulged. This retraining is not gentle. It is corrective. It involves saying no to desires that feel urgent but lead nowhere. It involves starving appetites that have grown loud through neglect. It involves teaching the heart that it is not in charge. And this is where the battle is fiercest, because the heart does not surrender quietly. What rules your heart will dictate how you respond when no one is watching. Public performance can be maintained for a time. Image can be curated. Language can be adjusted. But discipline is private before it is public. It shows up in unseen decisions, in moments where obedience brings no applause. If discipline collapses in private, it is because the heart answers to something other than truth. You cannot separate discipline from love. You will always discipline yourself for what you love most. A man will wake early, endure exhaustion, and endure pain for what he treasures. A woman will sacrifice comfort, time, and ease for what she values. Discipline is not sustained by willpower alone. Willpower breaks, love endures. The question is not whether you love, but what you love most. This is why discipline feels oppressive to some and liberating to others. To the one whose heart is ruled by appetite, discipline feels like a prison. To the one whose heart is ruled by conviction, discipline feels like alignment. When the heart desires what is good, discipline becomes an ally rather than an enemy. But until that reordering takes place, discipline will always feel like violence against the self. The undisciplined life is not chaotic by accident. It is ordered around lesser loves. Time is spent where the heart finds reward. Energy is invested where the heart expects satisfaction. Attention flows toward what promises relief or pleasure. These patterns are not random. They are consistent because the heart is consistent in its loyalties. Discipline exposes this order and demands that it be rearranged. People often say they lack discipline, but what they really lack is a supreme affection. When the heart is divided, discipline falters. When desires compete, obedience becomes selective. But when the heart is captured by something greater than comfort, discipline follows naturally, though not easily. Difficulty does not eliminate discipline. Misplaced love does. Every refusal to practice discipline strengthens the authority of whatever you choose instead. Every time you give in, you train your heart to expect surrender. Over time, the heart becomes accustomed to ruling, and discipline feels increasingly foreign. This is why early resistance matters. The longer a desire reigns unchecked, the louder it grows, and the more it demands tribute. Discipline is not about suppressing humanity, it is about ordering it. A heart without order is not free, it is fractured. Competing desires pull it in opposite directions until exhaustion sets in. Discipline brings unity by establishing a clear authority. It answers the question of who is in charge. Without that answer, life becomes a series of reactions rather than a coherent direction. When self-discipline reveals what rules your heart, it does so mercilessly. It does not negotiate. It does not flatter. It does not accommodate your self-image. It confronts you with evidence. Patterns do not lie. Habits do not exaggerate. They testify. And their testimony carries weight. Many try to reform behavior without confronting the heart. They adopt techniques, schedules, and systems while leaving their affections untouched. This produces temporary improvement at best. Eventually, the heart reasserts its authority, and discipline collapses under the weight of unresolved loyalty. You cannot build lasting discipline on a divided heart. True discipline requires repentance, not merely resolve. It requires a turning away from lesser rulers and a submission to a higher authority. Without this transfer of allegiance, discipline becomes a cycle of effort and failure. The heart must be dethroned from its place of supremacy, or it will sabotage every attempt at obedience. When the heart rules, discipline feels unnatural. When truth rules, discipline feels necessary. The difference lies not in circumstance, but in sovereignty. What you call struggle may actually be resistance from a heart that refuses to yield. And what you call weakness may be unwillingness to surrender control. Self-discipline reveals what truly rules your heart by exposing the gap between desire and devotion. Desire says, I want this. Devotion says, I will obey this. When those two collide, something must give. Discipline forces that collision and refuses to let you escape it through distraction or excuse. The heart often disguises its loyalties behind respectable justifications. It calls fear wisdom, laziness rest, indulgence self, care, avoidance patience. Discipline cuts through these disguises. It calls things by their proper names. And when names are spoken truthfully, deception loses its power. A heart ruled by comfort will always negotiate obedience. A heart ruled by conviction will endure without negotiation. This distinction becomes clear over time. Patterns reveal kingship. Consistency reveals allegiance. And discipline, or the lack of it, writes that revelation into daily life. To confront discipline honestly is to confront the question of authority. Who decides what you do when desire and duty conflict? Who speaks the final word when feelings protest? Who commands obedience when the cost is high? Your answer is not found in theory, but in practice. The heart does not drift toward discipline, it drifts toward indulgence. This drift reveals gravity, not freedom. Discipline resists gravity. It requires an upward pull stronger than appetite. That pull comes from love ordered rightly. Without it, effort becomes exhausting and obedience feels impossible. Self-discipline does not ask whether something feels right. It asks whether it is right. And that question exposes the heart's true compass. If feeling outweighs truth consistently, feeling is the authority. If truth governs action despite feeling, then the heart has submitted to something higher. This submission is not momentary. It is daily. The heart must be reminded continually that it is not sovereign. Discipline reinforces this reminder through repeated acts of obedience. Over time, the heart learns its place not through argument, but through practice. When discipline is absent, it is not because knowledge is lacking. Most people know what they should do. The issue is not information, but allegiance. Knowledge bows before desire when desire reigns. Discipline reveals this hierarchy without mercy. A disciplined life does not mean a passionless life. It means a directed life. Passion without discipline is destructive. Discipline without passion is unsustainable. When the heart is rightly ruled, discipline channels passion rather than extinguishing it. To see what rules your heart, do not listen to what you say you love. Watch what you obey when obedience costs you something. Watch what you protect when sacrifice is required. Watch what you choose when no one will know. These moments preach louder than any confession. Self-discipline pulls back the curtain and exposes the throne room of the soul. It shows who sits there issuing commands, receiving loyalty, shaping the future. And once that revelation occurs, neutrality is no longer possible. You either submit to what is worthy of ruling you, or you continue serving what is already ruling you, whether you admit it or not.